sorry about that, guys. I don't know, had a little bit of a lag spike there. I just had to, restart the stream there, so apologize for that. I think we're just going to get right back into it. Okay. So, we are looking at... So, it looks like we have 1, 2, 3 Charizard EXs. And that's from the last one. Let's see. Okay. So... There we go. Okay. So I think we should be caught up. Just testing real quick, guys. Just bear with me. Beautiful. Okay. So hopefully we can just chug along. I think we went through the lag spike, so I think we're chilling so far. Okay. So first, Charizard EX. So centering looks good. Corners look good. The surface looks good. So that is good. However... We do have a little bit of whitening on this bad boy. So if we kind of take the tool here. So right here, that little bit of whitening right there. I did no Lugia promo, Atreyu. So a little bit of whitening on that bottom left. In addition to... this right here, which looks to be more of like a scuff than anything on that top right corner. I don't think this would get a 10. I think probably, hopefully rather, it might get a 9, depending on how bad this one is. But just because of that, I mean, I've seen some that have gotten, you know, 10s with whitening, but I think this one's a little bit too noticeable for it to kind of like slide under that kind of 10 radar. So that one I don't think would get the 10, only because that's a little bit too noticeable on that first one. Now the second one, let's look at the second one here. So the second one, centering is good on that. Corners are good on that. I hope this isn't the same. Doesn't look like it's the same one. Because we do have, again, the same kind of whitening here. Right there in that bottom left corner. That one's a little bit more faint, but I think these can be... That one, this one looks like it can be wiped off. I don't know about the other one. But I think here, though, is a little bit too much. That section right there. I think that section is a little bit too much whitening. That, again, would probably prevent that 10. Which is obviously always unfortunate. Looks like we have a little bit of whitening there, too. And maybe, I don't know what that is. Like, probably should make it a little bit smaller. There we go. So that might be some surface stuff too. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I don't think that your chart, the first two probably won't get 10s, in my opinion, because of that whitening that we just discussed. And then for the third one, I'm hoping I can give you some good news on the third one. Corners look good. Surface looks good, but hopefully the back is good. No, this one not as well, unfortunately. And I can kind of highlight why. So looking at the card here, so if I kind of zoom in, so we got a bit of whitening here. A little bit here, and this is kind of, someone was asking, again, some of the impact of some whitening, and this one is a really good indicator here. So we got that going on. We have that going on. We got that. Let's see. But yeah, so it's kind of zooming out here. Those are probably those main indicators on why I don't think any of the 3 Zards you submitted would probably get a 10. Probably within that 9 at the best, 8 at the worst. I hope none of them get 8s. But this one might be probably your only 8 contender, because we do have 1, possibly 2, and good chunk of 3 points of whitening on that one side. So, I mean, it might be squeaking away by a 9, but just judging by what I'm seeing, probably not. But I think your first two are probably good 9s, but that third one's probably more of an 8. Oh, we have our first kind of centering example here. So this one is a bit off-center, this Team Rocket's Moltres EX. And again, there's a lot of tools. I'm not going to advocate for any like specific tool or AI tool or anything like that. There's hundreds of them out there, and I personally haven't spent the time to really test any of them. But this is something that you can do in person or just just to kind of show the example. So I have like a ruler here that we're going to be kind of using. We're just going to call these tick marks just to make it easier for everyone, depending on if you're watching me from the States or outside the States. So we're going to do a little line here. So this green line is where we're going to be measuring the centering. So we're just going to measure from the top down. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 tick marks on the top. And then on the bottom, which is probably right there. So we're going to go from here. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. So how we do the centering. So it's 4 tick marks on the top, 3 tick marks on the bottom. So how it then works is 4 plus 3 equals 7. And then we're going to do 4 divided by 7. And that's going to be 57 or 0.57. So the ratio technically would be 57:43. Which would prevent this card at most. So the ceiling on the highest card it could possibly get, if everything else was correct, would be a 9, because that centering is preventing it from getting a 10. No, you're good, Mike. I was actually experiencing some lag issues, so I had to restart the stream, so I'm actually just looking at your cards now. So it's to catch you up, Mike, I think your first 2 Zards that you submitted, I think would get 9s, and then the last Zard probably an 8. And then this one so far, I'm reviewing the front. And the centering alone on the front is probably 9 contention. The last pipe. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. And... okay. So, we have some things to talk about on this bad boy too. So, kind of zoom in here. So again, I made a video about this, but I'll highlight it here. So the lighting is coming from the top. So lighting is coming from this direction. And so one of the things I always look for is take that lighting to your advantage. So you can kind of see that in this section. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Yeah, you're right. Because there's a lot of Destined Rivals tonight, so that's what's kind of threw me off. My bad. I have not reviewed yours yet, Mike. I'm actually looking at Nards right now. My bad. So right here, you can kind of see that, and I'll kind of highlight, I don't know if that's going to work. We'll do it this way. So we can kind of see where, and I'll do this. So right here, so I'm going to kind of highlight the area in red here. So in this section, you can kind of see it getting a little darker, like right between the yellow and the red line. And then light here. So you can kind of see a little bit lighter in this section, but then darker and that like closer to the edge that you get. So the reason being is because there's most likely a fold here to some degree, which is causing that slight shadow on that edge. So that's where we kind of use the light to our advantage to see that there is some degree of like a fold or a bend. Obviously from the factory, because that's very symmetrical, but that is one nonetheless. And so additionally, we have some whitening here, here. So this card definitely would not get a 10. I can tell you that right off the rip. Probably a 7 or even a 6, depending on how bad that bend is, right here. But it's very off-center, on the front and the back. You have a lot of whitening going on. So I'd say, like, you know, in addition to this bend, at best you're looking at a 7. At worst, you're probably looking at a 6, depending on how bad this bend is here in this section. Because that's pretty gnarly, especially for a new card. Can you rate my Roaring Moon? I can. I'll go over how to submit your cards for a grade review once I'm done with this Latias EX. I'm streaming until I am done with the queue tonight, William. So this Latias EX, let's take a look at this bad boy. Make sure you guys can see what I'm seeing. So centering is good. Corners are good. Let's hope that the back is good. You can submit as many as you want, William. Yeah, I'll go over how to submit here once I'm done with this Latias. Okay. So again, I don't know if these cards were not put in sleeves or what, because there's a lot of just like random whitening that you traditionally don't see from a pack fresh card. Because normally you see probably like 1 or 2, unless you just got really unlucky. But we have some things going on. So first, we have, I don't know what this is. This looks like dirt or something stuck onto that end. Definitely want to try to wipe that off for sure. Additionally, I don't know if you guys can see it, and I'm going to try to zoom in the best that I can. But I'm going to highlight some scratches that are actually present on the card. So we have like here, and these are just almost like they came off the roller, so they're like almost like print lines. So here, 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 and here. So those pink lines, it's just to make it a little bit easier for you guys to see that they're very faint in nature, but they are worth at least highlighting because that will be factored in when being graded. So we also see this whitening here on that corner. And so now we're kind of looking at the edge again. So you can kind of see, I'll highlight it here too. So you can kind of see that scratch right here where my mouse is. But I'll highlight that in that pink as well. We got some here. Again, these are very faint, but I really have to try to show you guys the best that I can from a stream perspective. So a little bit of whitening there. So I'm kind of like over-exaggerating in certain areas, but these are things that they're going to see. So if we see it on stream, they're going to see it in the grade room. So that's why I try to be as unbiased as I possibly can and try to pick apart these cards the best that I can. So like, for example, something stuck on that black portion of the Pokeball button. Let's see. And then maybe here, but that might be the background. I'm not too sure. So this one's more kind of questionable in this section. And then any of these little white specks, that's just from the lighting. So yeah, so that is what I see on the back. Yeah, I hear you, Mime. But yeah, I'd say we have like so the things in pink are just mild surface scratches. But we do have some whitening here on that one corner. Again, some more surface scratches there. A little bit of whitening on that corner. Possibly whitening in this top right corner, but it might just be the background. So I'd say with that, you know, you're probably, you know, I mean, I wish it was better, to be honest. I think you can get rid of that. But I would say with these being so noticeable, especially like near the Pokemon, with those print lines, you're probably looking at a very strong 8. Because I would be surprised, like, just to kind of show you guys. So here's what it looks like edited. So you can kind of see these pink lines here. And so this is what it looks like unedited. And I'll kind of zoom in a little bit for you guys to see. So you can kind of see all of these scratches here in this section. You can kind of see them kind of cut across the Pokemon logo there. So that's what they kind of look like without that. You can kind of see the other one here. So these are all the ones that I was kind of highlighting in pink. I mean, although they are faint, that's most likely what they're going to be looking at. So I don't think you'd get a 9, but I think you should be able to get an 8. But again, for something like that, for Modern, again, when people say that, oh, like I treat 9s as though they are raw price, that's the reason. Because the Modern print quality is so much better that the people don't accept really anything less than that. Tim and Rogue, thank you for the follows. Nice, Moro. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so if you guys are wondering, yeah, so a few people asked me how to submit their cards. So this is how you do it. So if you're watching me on Twitch, the link is in the description. If you're watching me on TikTok, the link is in the bio. Once you click that, you're going to go to my link tree, and you're going to go up to the top and click or tap that Discord icon. Next, what you're going to do is once you click that Discord icon, you're going to go to the grade review channel and submit your cards in the grade review channel, and it's absolutely free and always will be. However, there are a few things to keep in mind. First, it is first come, first serve. So the faster you can submit your cards, the faster I'll be able to review your cards. I review cards every Wednesday starting at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern, and I establish the queue before stream, and the queue is closed, and then I kind of continue on each week. In addition, I will only review up to 5 cards per person per stream. You can submit as many as you want. So, like, for example, you can submit 20 cards if you want. But I'll only review the first 5 once it's your turn in line, and then review the next 5, so on and so forth until you're done. That way, if someone, not one person, just dominates the entire stream. And also make sure to follow the rules in the pinned messages. For example, I cannot review cards that are already graded, cards that are in top loaders, or cards that are in sleeves, because when scratches or things that come up, I don't know if it's on any of those materials, so those are kind of the caveats to that. However, if you do want priority grade review along with some other cool perks like giveaways and such, the Discord does offer server subscriptions starting at $4.99. That price will be adjusted here in the coming weeks, but it will grant you priority grade review every Wednesday. So if you want to kind of skip ahead, I know there's some people that want to try to grade their cards as soon as possible or sell their cards as soon as possible and want to know their grade instead of waiting a few weeks. That option is there as well. So that's how you do it. So yeah, Jazz, to answer your question, I'm looking at everyone's cards to give my 2 cents on what I think they would get. And I know Mike is a frequent flyer of the stream, so you can kind of weigh in too on. I kind of use him as my example case. He's had a bunch go through this process. He's graded a bunch. Why does PSAs take so long to get back? I think they just released some of their data that was it last month, that they graded at least 1.6 million cards. And so in addition to that, John, the accessibility of grading is now much higher due to the introduction of GameStop being able to grade on your behalf. So that accessibility has skyrocketed, which has resulted in a higher demand for grading. And a lot of cards that people think will get 10s, you know, people just submit thinking that they're going to get 10s. When does the queue end? So I post the queue in the grade review channel every week. And if you want to see the actual queue, just click on the thread. So this thread is just called episode 72. Yeah, so that's why, John. Joe and John, thank you for the follows. Appreciate that. All right, so next up we have our other subscriber, Mike. Thank you as always. And we're going to take a look at Team Rocket's Crobat to start. So centering on this, a little bit thicker on that right side. Yeah, that I would hope, Robbie's. It's really discouraging for sure. I really hope. So the queue is closed tonight, William, but the faster you can submit your cards, the faster you'll get put into a future queue. Unless you want to sub to the Discord, which offers priority grade review. So the higher you go, the higher priority you get, depending on if there's a ton that submit in like the cadet tier. Front centering matters more, John. They're less lenient or less strict on the back. So on the front here, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that left side, and on the right. So from here to here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so that's about right. So more or less, the left and the right side are within that range. Are you the dude who turns 9s into 10s? I wish I was that, like, genie-like, but no, I don't. I can tell you, like, in most cases, I can tell you if a card would get a 9 or a 10. Because pack fresh cards do not equal 10s. But I'm not like a magician and can turn them into 10s. Green Dragon, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. So the link is in my link tree. But if you don't have Discord installed on your app, you might have to do it on desktop. So the back of this bad boy. It's a little grainy, but I think we should be good. I don't see any white spots in the corners, which obviously for Modern is going to be the biggest thing that stands out. I think you're really strong on this one, man. This Crobat, I think for me, I probably would submit this. Because I don't see anything wrong with the corners. Again, it's a little bit grainy, but we don't really need to really zoom in. Unless, I mean, you've been through these enough, unless there's something like on that surface, but that Crobat looks pretty good. Have you seen some cards that got 10s that don't look like them? Of course, Pierre. Of course. I have definitely seen that. Especially cards that, like, I remember there was one that we all thought would get an 8, but someone had their return come back as a 10. Okay, so I think this one's kind of the same thing as that Crobat. It, like, visually looks like a little bit thicker on that right side, but I think it's within the range. Corners look good. The only thing that I would probably double check that I've seen PSA a little bit more stingent on is what appears to be almost like a pack fold. So you can kind of see a little bit like lifted here. That's why it's like, to me, it looks a little bit darker. And you guys cannot see at all what I'm talking about. Sorry, one second. So this is what I'm talking about. So that corner right here. So you can kind of see a little bit darker, like barely. But that has been consistent as of late with these little pack folds. I don't know why, but I've been seeing it more and more on Modern. But aside from that, the centering is really good. The back corners are really good. So yeah, I don't know though. Like, I would just double check this. It's clean on the front. Okay, so it must just be a lighting thing, if that's what you're saying. So I mean, to me, the centering looks good. I don't notice anything on that front side. The back side looks really good. I don't see any whitening. The centering on the back looks good. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it. Although, like, I would probably say that's a good 10 contender. If the centering is good and that corner isn't there, like what you're saying, and the back is clean, I don't see any whitening on those corners. Unless there's something surface related that we can't see, obviously. I don't see why it shouldn't. And then for your Misty Psyduck, yeah, probably Logan. Probably. I have an Umbreon, but the condition won't 10. Should I just sell it? I guess it just depends on if you need to sell it or not. I'm assuming you're talking about the Moonbreon. Just know that, like, if you try to sell it, like, in shows, vendors will say, oh, it won't grade 10, so they probably won't pick it up. Or they'll give you a, kind of like a lower ball offer. Oh, Umbreon? Dude, if it were me, I'd sell it. Prismatic is getting printed. Like, for me, like, as a vendor, like, I wait at least 6 months for markets to more or less stabilize. Like, obviously, that's not a guarantee, but 6 months for me is a good, like, that's when I start to actually look at Modern sets after 6 months. Should I grade my full art Nidoking? Depends. Depends on if you think it's a good 10 contender. Because Modern, like, no matter how people, like, argue with it or not, people are more interested in 10s than 9s for Modern. Because the print quality is so much better. So it's 10 or bust. But if you want to know, you can submit your card in the Discord. Link is in bio. It's going to be in the Grade Review channel. My same response, Ivan. It depends on if, you know, Shining Magikarp, Shining Gyarados. You know, depending on how beat they are. Sometimes it's better to sell it raw. I mean, Alina, that's honestly a fair, like, if you're just having it for your own kind of protection, I mean, grading is a great option. Like, it's like the best top loader you can get, right? But that's cool though. Okay, Misty Psyduck. Centering on that bad boy, looking good, looking sharp, looking crisp. The back, I don't know what this is, and you probably can see what I'm seeing. So to me, just based off of the angle, this looks like whitening to me. But yeah, if that's present, I think you actually mentioned that too, right? Psyduck has a small bit of white top, so I'm seeing if you agree it won't 10. I mean, I would say, like, Because it's really tough, man. Because I have seen cards that have like very, very minimal bits of whitening, like even 1 dot, sometimes 2 that have gotten 10s. But this one to me looks a little bit like longer, right? So if it's just like this, like to that like faintness, I would probably say it's a long distance 10. But since it's kind of like faint but like more longer, like this one, that's where I'm kind of like hesitant to say that it'd probably 10. So I would probably say that this would get a 9 because this is a little bit more noticeable at first glance. Whereas if it was something like this, I'd probably say it's a long shot 10. You can probably just submit it and see what happens. But do I take submissions that are still in the plastic wrap? No. Nope. Because I don't know if I see a scratch. I don't know if it's on the cellophane or not. Yeah, I would say if you have someone interested in it, Mike, I'd probably sell it if I were you. Destined Rivals, it's still getting printed. Like, there's not a scarcity. If it were me, I would sell it. If you're looking to sell it. If you're looking to keep it, then obviously keep it for your collection. But if you want like a grading play, and someone's interested in this, I would say just find another one. Or try to find another one. Where can I send you pictures? Yeah, so I can go over that real quick. So I'll go over this. If anyone wants to know how to submit your cards for a future grade review, I'll be going over that here in just a second. So again, Mike, thank you as always, my friend, for your submission. And so if you guys want to know on how to submit your cards for a future grade review, this is how you do it. So currently I'm streaming both on Twitch and TikTok. The names are the same. So if you want to watch me over on Twitch as well for a different viewing experience, that option is there. So if you're watching me on Twitch, the link is in the description. If you're watching me on TikTok, the link is in the bio. Once you are there, you're going to click or tap the Discord icon. If you're doing it on mobile, just make sure to have Discord installed. Otherwise, it might load incorrectly or be weird for you. So once you are in the Discord, you're going to go to the grade review channel. Once you're in the grade review channel, you're going to submit your cards in there. Again, absolutely for free. Just keep in mind that to read the pinned messages on how to properly submit your cards. For example, I cannot review cards that are in top loaders or sleeves or graded, because if there is a scratch or issues with lighting or anything like that, I don't know if it's on the slab, I don't know if it's on the top loader, I don't know if it's on the sleeve, so stuff like that. So just make sure that your pictures are well lit, and all that stuff is explained in the pinned messages. Again, the service is absolutely for free, but it is first come, first serve, so I stream once a week, every Wednesday, starting at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I do establish a queue each week. So the moment the queue is closed, it's closed until the next week, and so on and so forth. In addition, you can submit as many cards as you want, but I'll only review 5 cards per person per stream, just so that someone doesn't dominate the entire stream, so that's why it's like that. If you want priority grade review, meaning that you want to kind of be ahead of the non-subs each week, because there are people who try to grade as soon as possible or are wanting to sell their cards as soon as possible but don't know if it's worth grading or whatever, the Discord server does offer subscriptions starting at $4.99 is the lowest tier and upwards. There will be a price adjustment to make it even more cost effective here in the coming weeks, so just kind of keep that in mind. But that will give you not only priority but also some other perks like Discord giveaways and such. So that, again, those are offered through the Discord only, those subscriptions. So just kind of keep that in mind. So yeah, Adrian, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. And Wilkie, thank you for the follow. Are you about to get the Walmart drop? No. I don't buy, personally, I don't buy sealed anymore. My luck is trash. And B, I'm not really a sealed collector because now I feel that everyone and their mother is collecting sealed and holding sealed. And eventually everyone, not everyone, but most of the people who can't afford to hold on to that because they just simply can't have that much capital kind of held up in a sealed collection, will ultimately try to sell it at once. I bet you'll see a bunch of stuff try to get sold once the 30th anniversary happens because the hype will be kind of reignited during the 30th celebration. Never give up. I gave up, Adrian. My luck is atrocious. I have accepted it. It's okay. That's why I buy singles. That's why I buy singles. I'm just speaking from my personal experience. I'm awful. I'm awful at opening packs. I don't do coin flips because my luck is trash. I just accepted it. It is what it is. How much should I aim to sell the raw Umbreon for? Well, there's a lot of factors that come into that question. The first one is, are you looking, if you want the most out of your Umbreon, the best way is going to sell it on your own. But that's going to require some work on your end, such as eBay or Facebook Marketplace or being a vendor. But all those have like inherent fees or kind of work that you have to do. So that's as close to market as you can get. However, if you are trying to like not put in as much work but take in less as like a potential market, then selling it at a show is going to be your best shot. Betty, what's going on? What up, what up? Hopefully you just woke up from your nap. My guess is that you napped. Normally when you're back on this, like around this time is when you just woke up from a nap. Okay. So let's see. So Team Rocket's Mewtwo. So let's take a look. So centering on this bad boy is pretty good. Corners are good. Surface is good. So far, so good. Yeah, it's a cool card. It's a cool card. Let's see. A little bit of surface issues here. You kind of see it right up on top of there. In addition to possibly some whitening here. So I'm not too sure about that one. And as we kind of go across, might be some whitening on this left edge, but again, I don't know if that's on the background or not. Let's just do this real quick. So maybe some whitening there. And I don't know, there's like some weirdness in that corner. I'm not too sure about that, but you have at least 2 areas, maybe even 3, like here on this left side too. You can kind of see right where the tip of my mouse is. That you kind of have a little bit of some stuff going on with this card specifically, I think. To where I wouldn't feel, me personally, I wouldn't feel comfortable submitting it trying to go for a 10. Because you have like all this, what appears to be whitening here and here. But again, I don't know if that's because of your mat or what, but I'm worried about that part. Here, especially this bottom right corner, I'm pretty worried about, to be honest with you. In addition to this like kind of scuffed area. And I'll kind of, again, I did it before, but I'll kind of highlight it in pink here. So like this scuffed spot. So though I would probably say that it probably wouldn't 10 if those are true. But they are very faint. So you might be in that like weak 9, strong 8 range, depending on how bad this is. So depending on how bad that is, in addition to what appears to be whitening on these corners. But again, the mat is kind of making it a little bit difficult, so kind of take that with a grain of salt. So I'd say between like a 9 or an 8, pending what is seen as on the mat versus seen on the actual card. But the front looks good. The centering and the corners on the front look good. But let's see. Oh, here's the Dragonite that I was talking about in the beginning of stream. This bad boy is loved for sure. This thing is beat to a crisp. So let's... Honestly, I'm just going to do this and just draw all over this card. What's going on, Alberto? Alright, so where do I begin? So the centering is good. Centering is good so far. Okay, so we have some pretty extensive whitening here on that corner right there. So that's as whitened as you can get. Possibly some here. A little bit of shadowing, so that indicates a little bit of a fold there. on that top left corner. So as we go down this left edge, left corner, a little bit of whitening there. A little bit of a ding or a dent on that left edge, on that bottom edge rather. Some whitening here. As we go up the right side, a little bit of whitening there. Okay, so now, man, we have a lot to kind of circle here. So I'm going to highlight the scratches with the pink, I think. So we have some here, some there, some by the booty. So we have one there, have one there, have one there, one actually on the Dragonite itself. There you go. Slay, your credentials pass. PSA 11s are definitely there. So here's kind of the card. Here's kind of the card that's from zoomed out perspective. So hopefully you guys can see that. So we have a lot of, like, the green is like the whitening on the edges here, and the pink areas are where some of those scratches are on the surface. And so now it is time to, I'm actually going to do, let's see, paint. So I'm going to do boop, boop. So just to make sure that I have it somewhere saved. And on the, whew, that back is cooked. That back is absolutely cooked. So I mean, the entire edge, all four edges are just whitened beyond belief. So I'm not even gonna write those up. Yeah, you know what, Betty? That's a good point. So we'll start with whitening. So there's the whitening line. We'll just double circle just to really drive home the point that there is some whitening here, if you cannot tell. Got some pretty noticeable scuffs there. Have some here. Whitney, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Yesterday I found a Shadowless Alakazam in the trunk of a car. Interesting. I don't even know what to say about that. Congrats, I guess. That's what I probably should say. 54, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Yeah, this card is pretty cooked, chat. So that is the back. And so this is the front. Let me kind of zoom out just a tad so you guys can see what I'm looking at. So that's the front and that's the back. So we have a lot of issues here. So we'll just kind of do this as a quick summary on what I think this Dragonite would get. So let's grade this Dragonite. So the front, a lot of whitening. A lot of whitening on the edges, a lot of whitening on the corners. What I have highlighted in pink, a lot of scratches here. A lot. So when we flip it to the back is really where the problems start to shine. So the entire edge of the card, all four corners and all four edges have like very noticeable whitening. In addition to things highlighted in pink, again, are more of like things removed from the actual surface of the card. So you can kind of see, especially in this bottom left spot, kind of see that ink layer being removed. We got some scuffs there, and I'm sure there's some other scuffs across the card. So it's definitely worse than light play. So we're at best, we're at mod play or PSA 5. But I don't think I see any creases or anything like that on the front of the card or the back of the card, which is great. So we're kind of out of that 3 range. So I would probably say that this Dragonite would be a pretty strong 4 contender, would be my guess. I think if there was any creases, again, it'd probably be more of that 3 side. But this one specifically, I'd probably lean more towards a 4 for this Dragonite. And yeah, Betty helping me out. So if you guys want to submit your cards for a future grade review, Betty would be a great resource to help you out there. So thank you, Betty, as always. All right, next up is Franco with the Deoxys Delta. So let us take a look. So centering on this bad boy is pretty good. The only problem that I see, and you guys, you know what? See if you guys have been paying attention to me yapping. Do you guys see an issue that I see on this card? Like right off the rip. Because again, we gotta get really good at assessing cards online because eBay will allow us to submit these cards directly to PSA soon. So does anyone want to kind of weigh in on why I think this card right off the bat wouldn't get a 10? Does anyone want to weigh in? Because we also have to keep in mind too, like just because you have cards that you think are in good shape, these little imperfections can prevent these 10s. Yes, John. You are correct. So this bad boy right here on the top left, we got a pretty noticeable ding or bend here in this top section, right here. So that's probably the biggest one that's going to be, you know, we're already kind of out of like a 9 range. We're like at best, like absolute best, we're at an 8. But having said that, we're going to keep looking at the card here. Because that's just the front. We haven't even seen the back yet. Maybe some scratches here, like in this kind of tendril area. So like here or here. But it's more of this one. As we kind of go across the card here. The bottom looking good. That right edge looking good. So yeah, it's really just that kind of ding in the top left. And that potential scratch across this red tendril there. And when we flip it over, we are definitely seeing way more issues on the back than we did on the front. So as we kind of zoom in here, so if I take this here, so I'm just going to highlight some of these issues that I see, kind of going counterclockwise, and we'll kind of review them here in a second. So the top right corner, so we'll start with the corner first. So that corner is looking good. Let's kind of go across here, so you can kind of see some of these, like from here to here, a little bit of some weirdness going on there. We have a little bit of a ding there on that top left corner. So as we go down this left edge, we have a little bit of whitening in this section. We have pretty noticeable whitening in this section, as well as here. We also have some here. Now we're going towards the bottom here, so we have some whitening on that bottom edge. Possibly here, but this is more of a question mark. It's kind of a bad question mark. There we go. Mikey, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. So on the left bottom right corner, looking good. And as we go up on the right edge, we have some more whitening that I'll highlight now. So we have some from like here to about there. We have some here, boom to boom. Has some there. So a lot of whitening on all these sides here. And we got this chunk here. Right about there. So yeah, a lot of whitening. So just zooming out. So just from this alone, all those little marks that I saw, this makes it look really bad. So you can kind of see all these bits of whitening or all these issues on those edges and corners that will definitely take this card away from an 8, in my opinion. Probably starting even at a 7 or getting worse. Never created my cards. I'm taking that to GameStop and getting my 10s. There you go, Chronic. GameStop just handing out 10s. Well, you need to tell me what GameStop you're submitting to get 10s. I think that the doors would fall off if people knew that GameStop. Let's see. Anything else? So some possible scratches that are super faint. I don't know if you guys can see them or not, but we have some kind of here in this direction. What's my opinion on tag grading? I think AI is a good kind of introduction to the process, but I don't think it should be the end-all be-all process. I still, like, I've seen some tag slabs that have had some noticeable whitening or areas that have been missed. That tag is still given, like, 10s to. But yeah, I can't let the people know. I hear you, Burnout. I wouldn't either. Yes, they can, cool guy. I'm going next week. You just let me know how that goes, Betty. If you're well, first I want to know what cards you're submitting. I'm always curious on what people try to submit. Okay. So here's kind of like the card marked up, right? So this is like this is the back, and this is the front. So we'll kind of do this really quick. So what would I grade this Deoxys? So the centering on the front's good. A little bit of like that issue on the top. So at best, we're like an 8 on the front. But it's more of the back. And so when we look at the back and we take note of all of these markings of all the whitening on the edges, these surface scratches, you know, I would probably say just from the sheer amount of whitening alone, we're probably looking at a 6. Because that's a lot. We have a lot of whitening. That is very minimal, but there's just enough of it. Now, if more of it was, I would say, like darker, like especially in this section, it'd probably warrant a 5. But we're definitely in that kind of like light play LP minus range. That would probably to me be more of a 6, in my opinion, because that's just there's a lot of them. They're minimal, but kind of strength in numbers, I guess, but in a negative way. So my guess would probably be a 6 on that bad boy, because the front looks good from what I can tell, other than that top left corner. Bizarre, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. And David, thank you for the follow. I got that Ninetales 199 in 2019 promo. That's worth 160. Nice. Nice. Glenn, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. All right, so next up we have the Gengar Mimikyu. And so another thing that is a good example for this Mimikyu Gengar here is if you want a better idea on what your cards would get, the more angles that we can use as reference, the better. So like, for example, this Gengar Mimikyu GX, we have several different angles to look at lighting. So this is a good example of what we can use to really give a good assessment of this Gengar, for sure. I'm right there with you, Betty. I am right there with you. I just wish PSA gave me a reason for the grades. Yeah, I think I'm hoping. I think the nice thing about tag, like I don't grade with tag, nor would I. Because at the end of the day, for me personally, I collect, if I do collect graded, it's going to be PSA, or if I sell graded cards, it's going to be PSA, just the return on investment so much higher. But I think there is a time more than ever to disrupt the grading market, and I think AI is the way to do it. But I would be shocked if PSA doesn't incorporate some degree of transparency through AI in the coming quarters, would be my guess. Nice, mister. Why does everyone hate CGC? From like a reseller perspective, there's a lot. I mean, CGC graded fake cards like through the alpha. Was it the first printing, quote unquote? They got like dinged by grading fake cards. You know, there's some issues with them kind of shifting gears with like with adjusting their 10s or their black labels. Certain cards that they get as 10s really probably shouldn't be. There's a lot. I feel like that first edition Charizard drama they got into really made them fall off the horse. That's good, yeah. And when a PSA 8 gets a 10, I don't know. Yeah, I hear you, Glenn. I hear you. I would say that they have, yeah, they have a few things kind of going against them in that sense. And again, until the market decides, I know people are going to be kind of upset about it, but PSA on average is going to warrant a higher return on your investment. Yes, Betty, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I'd love to see what you're submitting. But yeah, from a return on investment perspective, until the market decides otherwise, PSA is going to be the best bet. With the exception of if you're trying to hunt for black labels. And then in that case, you should go for Beckett. Because Beckett black labels hold a higher premium. You know, there are arguments for black label CGC, but on average, when people think black label, most people think Beckett. I have a 9.5 CGC. I'm assuming that's what you meant. I have no clue how much it's worth. Yeah, I don't know. All right. Gengar Mimikyu. This one's a big one. Okay. So the first thing I see, and we'll have to look at a angle. So it's unfortunate because the spot that I'm trying to look for is blurry. Oh, the Chinese version of this one. PSA gave my Charizard from Brilliant Stars a 6, even though it's clean centering. Normally, if a modern card gets that much of an issue, it's somewhere on the surface. In most cases, David. So the first thing I see right off the bat, and I hope you guys see the same thing, is going to be this corner right here. So right here, I see a little bit what appears to be a fold. Like that section right there. I don't know if you guys see it. It almost looks like a fold. Or like kind of like it's peeling away from that. Because that's what I was trying to look at the other angles. But that's blurry. That's blurry. And that's blurry. So we really can't see it, which is kind of unfortunate. But to me, it kind of looks like a fold. Moro, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. But the centering is good. Top, bottom, left, right look good. Once I'm done with this Gengar Mimikyu, Heelsy and anyone else who's wondering how to submit your cards for a future grade review stream, once I'm done with this Gengar Mimikyu GX, I'll be more than happy to break it down. So just bear with me 1 second. So the centering looks good on that. Let's kind of take this one just if I need to mark it up. But that's really the only thing I saw. This is just a hair. That's just a hair. This looks too clean to be whitening, so I think that's just more of the lighting than anything. You can, Glenn. The other thing with the electronic microscopes, if you convert the image to negative, you can also see whitening pretty easy too. I also have I have a partnership with a master guide too, if you want to know more kind of like the techniques I use. So if you go to my link tree, you can go to the card cleaning master guide. I'm partnered with Rocket Collects. So that master guide is very helpful. Would a dimple on the corner drop the card? Depends on the severity. Cool guy, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Post them in Discord. We'll let you know, cool guy. Either myself or one of the moderators will know if it needs some touch up, but you should be fine. Yeah, so the only thing I really see is just that one top right corner. And kind of looking at the rest of the card is really now just looking at the surface. So that looks good. Maybe a little bit of a scratch kind of like in this forehead area. So you can kind of see, and I'll kind of highlight it with pink here. So like right here. So right where that line is, that's kind of where I'm seeing a possible scratch within this kind of pink box there. So right here. So on this side, let's see, anything else? Looks like something kind of stuck here. I don't know what that is. That might be. Let's see. But aside from that, this doesn't, again, this is just, to me, it looks like lighting and a little bit of camera artifacting because there's that little bit of like a glow. So that's a little bit difficult to really determine because you kind of have that like picture glow. But the surface, other than that potential scratch in the forehead, looks pretty good. Let's see. Nolan, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Yeah, no worries, Glenn. I'm glad that you and others appreciate what we're doing here. I try to again do this for you guys. The hobby is very chaotic, and at the end of the day, I just try to be as transparent and helpful as I can be. So the back. So let me zoom out just a tad and start marking the back up real quick. So the back. So that top right corner looks good. Top left looks good. And all this is just lighting, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. Not sure what this is, so that either might be removed from the ink or a bit of fuzz stuck. I'm not too sure about that. I'm assuming, just for argument's sake, let's just assume it's fuzz. The corners are really good so far. That edge is good. No whitening on that corner either. This is more lighting, that purple kind of hue. More fuzz, I would imagine, there and there, stuck on there, but I think that could just be wiped off. The back, aside from that, looks really good. No major issues. I don't see any, like, we kind of saw that a lot, actually, in today's stream for, like, more of the modern stuff. We saw a lot of surface scratches, but, yeah, looks good. So, we'll look at the other angles here, too. So one thing that we can kind of tell here is, I don't know, and this is always very tough to kind of make a judgment call on, is this right here. So the reason why I say that is the lighting. Again, I've talked about it a few times tonight, but just because this card is a pretty big card, we'll kind of review it. So the lighting is coming from this direction, right? So coming from this direction. So we have all this surface being highlighted, but you can see here that there is this shadowed line going all the way on the left edge of the card, which tells me that if there is some of that shadowing or some of that darkness, then there's like, it's basically casting a shadow because of that kind of fold, I guess, up on the back. So depending on if that's pack fresh, it looks pack fresh to me, like a pack fresh fold. But that obviously will impact the grade because those edges technically are folded to a degree. So we will have to keep that in mind. But it also might be that it's just rounded and the shadow is kind of on the edge. So it's kind of tough. That's my card. The light was coming from the other direction. Oh, okay. Because we have some here. Yeah, I guess so. A lot of lighting, a lot of light sources, I guess. Because you can kind of see it kind of glowing in this section. But it might be at an angle. But that'd probably be the only thing. But you can probably, now that you're in here, you can probably confirm. And that's another thing too, guys. If you are going to submit your cards, if you're in stream, it makes it very helpful because we can clear up a lot of things. So for example, Edwards, this is what I'm seeing. And you might have to confirm if this section here and or this section here are folds on those edges. Because if they are, then obviously that will have an impact on the overall grade. But if they're not, then it's just a camera or a light illusion. But I guess for argument's sake, more so from the front, I would say that it probably isn't, as we kind of like weigh in here. So while we wait for Edwards to respond, we'll just kind of do a quick, just looked over, it didn't look like a fold to me, but I'm not very familiar with this stuff. Okay, so if it doesn't look like a fold, meaning like if you brush your finger across and you don't feel it lifted up, we're just going to assume that it's not. So just kind of keep that in mind as we kind of do this quick final review here. So, okay, so let's grade this Gengar Mimikyu GX. So the first thing that I saw on the front was this potential fold in the top right-hand corner. The rest of the card looks really good, but it's just this in this top left spot. So that, to me, looks like a fold to some degree. So the rest of the card looks good. However, when we see this section, we see a little bit of a surface scratch kind of in the forehead of the Gengar Mimikyu. So that looks more of like a print line than anything. So as we flip it over, the only thing that we saw, but to me, it looks more of kind of the shadow and the placement of the angle of the card, more so than any bending or creases, is these left edges. But that front fold is going to be pretty noticeable and kind of incorporate that little bit of what I like to call that eye appeal for like that fifth hidden grade criteria. So something like that, you know, we're definitely not a 9 or higher if that is the case, you know, but I would argue that it's not bad enough to warrant a 7 just based off of the size of it. But the rest of the card looks really clean, so that's why I'm kind of leaning more towards it being an 8. But if it is worse in person, meaning if it's like really kind of peeling off, then a 7 would be warranted because it is on the front of the card. So I'd probably say for this specifically, and this is a really good kind of like example on how much this kind of would impact, that would probably range between an 8 or a 7 depending on severity. If it's not as bad, because I'm obviously zooming in to make it like really stand out, would probably be a 7. But if it's not as bad in person, but it is kind of present there, because the rest of the card itself is super clean, probably be more of like an 8. But my gut is leaning more towards a 7 than an 8, if that is in fact a fold. Because that is basically it looks like it's peeling, right? So it's not like if a card is peeling in that small of an area, then probably would warrant a PSA 7, because the rest of the card is really good condition, especially on the back. Dents, depending on the severity, Fu, because I've had dents, for example, that have come back as 7s that have been very minimal, but it really just depends. But I don't think that's, I think what I was kind of highlighting is less of a dent and more of a possible peel, but just due to the angle, it looks a little bit rough. I have, John. One of them I'm partnered with some of the techniques that I use. In my Linktree, which is Rocket Collects. So I'm sponsored with him. And some of the techniques that he uses, I advocate, and some I do on my own cards. I am a big advocate, though. I don't use anything that adds to a card, like card wax or adhesives or anything like that. But if you're using it for your own personal collection and you never have, you never intend on reselling it or anything like that, it's a good alternative. But yeah, card cleaning is becoming extremely popular, for better, for worse. And in addition, PSA is actually, they're kind of putting their feelers on. They haven't made it official by any means, but one of the recent surveys is that they're reaching out and saying, hey, like if we offered this as a service, would you do it? Which is kind of crazy. But yeah, Edward, that's based off of the pictures you sent. That's kind of where my brain is. So, okay, so if you guys want to know how to submit your cards for a future grade review, since I'm done with this Gengar Mimikyu, this is how you do it. So if you're watching me on Twitch, the link is in the description. If you're watching me on TikTok, the link is in the bio. Once you go into the bio, you're going to go to the Linktree, and you're going to click or tap the Discord icon. If you're on mobile, just make sure you have the Discord app installed on your phone. Otherwise, it might load weirdly. So just kind of keep that in mind. Once you're in the Discord, you're going to go to the grade review channel. So you're going to submit your cards in the grade review channel, and it is absolutely free. It always will be. However, just make sure to follow the rules which are in the pinned messages. For example, I cannot review cards that are in a sleeve, top loader, or graded already, because if there are scratches, as an example, I don't know if it's on any of those materials. So if it's outside, make sure the pictures are very clear with a black background is the best way to possibly do it, because the better the image, the better I can review your cards. Next, since it is free, it is first come, first serve. So the faster you submit your cards, the quicker you'll be up in a next review. So I do review cards that are, sorry, one second. So I do review cards that on a first come, first serve basis. And you can submit as many cards as you want for free. However, I only review up to 5 cards per person per stream. And so just kind of keep that in mind. Right now, I think we're about like 3 weeks or so, 3 or 4 weeks in a queue. But if you want priority grade review, you can subscribe to the Discord starting at $4.99 and higher, which gives you not only priority grade review, but it also gives you some other good perks as well. So there are some people who want to grade their cards as soon as possible, but want a second opinion as soon as possible. That Discord subscription does offer that as a service if you choose to do so. So that is it. So that's how you do it. All right, so I think, for you guys who have never seen me before, hello. So that is going to do it for tonight's grade review. I have to cut it a little bit short. The stream had a little bit of a delay or lag, so I have to fix that. But again, I do this specifically every Wednesday starting at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, if you guys want your cards assessed in a future grade review, make sure to submit your cards sooner rather than later by going to the Discord. Because again, it is first come, first serve. But if you want priority grade review, the Discord server does offer subscriptions for you to kind of get bumped up in the queue. So again, I appreciate all the love and support tonight. You guys are always awesome. I really do appreciate all the questions. I appreciate you guys listening to what I have to say, my opinions on things. So it always means a lot. And more to come. So hopefully there should be a surprise that I hopefully should be getting this weekend, that I might be doing an additional stream to kind of reveal a collection that I might be picking up. So stay tuned for that. I'll make the announcement on Discord, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, all the socials, stuff like that. So before I go, I'm just going to answer some questions here. Is it cheaper for me to submit through GameStop? I'm a pro member with them. I think it would be, John. But just know, depending on the how high the price is for a card that you're submitting, you might get a surcharge, or an upcharge rather. So just kind of keep that in mind. Like if you have like a really big card, they're going to charge you extra. So just kind of keep that in mind. So yeah. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. If you haven't already, make sure to follow. Again, I stream every Wednesday in addition to some other content that I do. So if there's any other questions or anything you guys need help with, please let me know in Discord. I try to do my best to answer as many questions as I can because the market is crazy, and I try to do my best to help you, the community, as much as I can. And I do that through my content. So if you appreciate that type of content, a follow would be appreciated. But thank you guys so much for all the loves, the likes, the shares, the follows, and I will catch you in the next one.